We might just have a round table going up.
You can have two cookies.
Tim, be careful. You never know what's in those cookies.
Set up table like bread.
I don't
Yeah.
know if there's two of these. Never know. Just checking.
Is that too live, Judge? Just take that into consideration that we are staging that shot.
Come on, Ross, sit front and center. Who's live?
There's two people watching.
Oh, is that it? But I'm happy that the two of you That's what we should do. We should line them up.
I do communications here. I like to the website and the weekly communication document. That's my baby. It keeps you engaged in the whole thing. You get a weekly. It seems to work. It seems to work.
I'll put those, put our best faces forward. Aaron, all right.
Now, I walked in, I saw a man walk in with this really couple. I'm sure I saw him going up with this, so I don't know if he was. So maybe.
Watching the crowd, which is up on
Hello, everyone. How are we all tonight? I want to take this off. Thank you all for coming to our fall information session. If you're a new member, and I see a few of you out there tonight, we do have them in the fall and we have them in the spring as well. And they're to bring the members up to date on all the key happenings in the club and what's happening at the board level as well. So welcome everybody. I want to take this opportunity to introduce our board members that are present here tonight. So I will start with the panel. We have Kevin Greer, who is the finance director, and he's speaking tonight. We have Neil Rogers, who is our vice president and director of food and beverage, and he'll be speaking as well. And everybody, I think, knows Joe, our GM CEO. I have Bruce Fleming, if you want to stand up. He's our facilities director. Everybody knows Bruce. I have Craig State Gardner, who is our activities director. Brenda Berry, who is our governance director. Carolyn Wright, who is our golf director. And we have Neil McDonald, who is our membership. Thank you. And before I get started with the agenda, I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of myself and the board and our members to congratulate our Thornhill mixed curling team for winning a gold medal at the World Championships in They beat Spain 6-2 in the final. The team was made up of Mike Anderson, Daniel, who was the skip, Daniel Inglis, vice, Sean Harrison, second, and Lauren Wood, she was the lead. They won the provincials in London in April of 2016, Then they went on to win the Nationals in Swan River in April of 2017. And then the Worlds just recently in Kelowna on Saturday in October of 2018. World champions. This is just simply fantastic for our club. We'll be celebrating this great achievement in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for a little bit more information on that. So I'm going to get into the agenda for tonight's meeting, and we have a few things to cover. Most of it's really around our strategic plan. We have a finance update as well, and how do we achieve that. So I'm going to be talking about our mission and vision and values, our strategic objectives, then Kevin will come up and do a financial update for us. And then we'll get into some of the specifics of the tactical plans that will be presented by both Neil and Joe. So if everybody read the communication that went out last week on the strategic plan, we have been working on this for the past couple of years to develop our strategic objectives and our plan for the club. There was two key committees that we put together to do this along with feedback from the board. And the first one is the Special Purpose Committee, and the results were presented last October by Colin Bastable, on that committee. The second committee that we put together was our Strategic Subcommittee, and the results of all that work was presented last week in the document that everyone received. The Strategic Subcommittee reviewed this 2009 strategic plan with the goal of refreshing our mission, our vision, and actually as well as creating values for the club. It is also important to have a set of guiding principles that you'll see them outlined in the strategic planning document. So if we want to take a look at our mission, so we did a refresh of our mission. We didn't change it drastically, and the mission states, we are a family club with outstanding golf and year-round sport and social activities where we provide exceptional experience to our diverse community of members. As we know, Thornhill has some of Canada's best golf and complementary activities for the family. Achieving our mission requires us to focus on member satisfaction. So if we take a look at our vision statement, to be Canada's foremost golf and multi-activity club, inspiring friendships and healthy activities. First and foremost, we are recognized as golf's top clubs in the GTA. Our courses are a competitive advantage among other family clubs in the GTA. Second, striving for this vision forces us to maintain our brand equity to levels that commands a strong presence within our marketplace. Third, we pride ourselves on friendships and camaraderie experienced every day amongst our fellow members. Fourth, for every club activity offered, we promote a healthy lifestyle. We also felt it was really important to take a look at having values for the club. It was something that we spent a lot of time on at both the strategic level, at the committee, and as well at the board level. We want people when they walk in, our members, our management staff, our guests when they walk into the club, to feel that they have a set of values that they live by when they enter through those doors. So we've developed 5 values for the club that we will post around the club so that they're present for people to see and view. The first one is respect. Respect for members, management, staff, and our guests. Also respect for the golf course and our assets. Integrity was the second value. We demonstrate the highest ethical standards for personal conduct. We behave with honesty, integrity, openness, and fairness when dealing with each other. These are members, management, staff, and our guests. Excellence. Strive for excellence in all we do. Embrace change and the opportunities for our club that it creates. Sustainability, both financially and environmentally and organically. Ensure that the club is viable now and in the future. And lastly, but not least, community. We are a community here at Thornhill, inspiring friendships and social activities for our members. We are also part of a bigger community that we encourage our social involvement. So how do we then take our mission and vision and how do we get there? So we need to deliver on our strategic objectives. Everybody should be fairly familiar with our strategic objectives. Because they've been in a lot of our communications from the board at the board level. So the first communication is deliver excellent value to our members. And we can do this through competitive fees and dues, quality programs and amenities, consistency of food and service. The second strategic objective is protect and enhance our assets, which is really respect the golf course, financial and environmental sustainability, comprehensive master planning for the clubhouse and golf course improvements, which you'll hear more about. Build and enhance our club brand. Membership buzz, creating future growth, and signature events. So in order to help us get to where we need to be, we've developed a tactical plan, which you saw outlined in the strategic plan that was sent out last week. Each part of that plan helps us to deliver on our strategic objectives. Facilities master plan, course master plan, program and amenities, food and beverage, sustainability programs, and signature events. Later in the presentation, Neil will take us through the facilities and course master plan, and Joe will review as part of his update the remaining elements of the tactical plan. So firstly, I would like to introduce Kevin, who will give us a financial update.
Thank you, Michelle. So a few years ago, we came in front of you and presented this high-level financial plan, the three-year plan. So as you can see, in 2016, we had a significant issue at our operating line and incurred a deficiency of over $500,000 in 2016. And a similar loss in 2015. So clearly we needed a plan to get back in the black and stop the use of cash to fund a negative operating result. At that time, Joe and his team put together this three-year glide path to return to a positive cash flow from operations. You can see the plan progression was that in 2017, that we would go from a loss of about $500,000 to about $200,000 loss. In 2018, we would break even, and then in 2019, be in the black by about $100,000. As you can see, the key drivers of this recovery plan were membership growth and slower attrition rates. Last year, in 2017, management overachieved and delivered $167,000 loss relative to a planned loss of $200,000. For fiscal 18, the 12 months just ended September 30th, we're happy to report that based on preliminary results, the team has again overachieved plan, and the Thornhill Club is actually in the black a year ahead of plan, with a surplus of approximately $27,000 relative to a break-even plan. The plan that the board has just approved for 2018 is consistent with the operating surplus of $100,000 for 2018. So just to recap our preliminary results, an operating result of $27,000 operating surplus relative to break even and back in black a year ahead. And this is continued improvement over prior year. And as mentioned, next year's approved budget is an operating surplus of $100,000, which again is consistent with the three-year plan. So let's take a look at how this was achieved and provide a graphical illustration of how strong membership levels correlate to strong financial performance. As you can see, the historical trend on the long course, data on the graph on the left, membership has grown steadily over the last 3 years. We picked a data point of as of July for each of these data points, just because that's sort of the start of the golf season. So the graph on the right illustrates the steady improvement in operating results and reinforces the importance of full membership levels to a positive financial result. As Joe always says, we're in the dues business. This is a very positive trend. So congratulations to Joe, to you and your team. But of course, there's still work to do. Having incurred losses in 2015 and 16 meant that we used cash to fund those losses. Cash that was therefore not available to spend on regular capital maintenance projects and capital improvements. We're now faced with the question of what do we do, now that we're back in the black, what do we do to bring certain assets back to the standard, as well as additional improvements for the future? In a few minutes, our VP Neil Rogers will provide an update on our Facilities Master Planning Committee and share some interesting options for the future of the Thornhill Club. So just to finish off on some of the financial discussion and highlights. From a bottom line perspective, so bottom line is operating results after capital maintenance fees, initiation fees, and depreciation. We have a preliminary positive bottom line of about $80,000. So this is down a bit from last year, which had an exceptional level of initiation fee revenue, but still a positive result. Okay. In terms of the balance sheet, we continue to pay down the $5 million debt from the clubhouse improvement project, which included our fitness facility and locker room update. We also received a portion of the funds from the TD Bank for the expenditures recently approved for building the cabana, the hot tub, and the women's locker room. So in conclusion, I hope that you have a better sense of our financial position, where we've come from, where we are now, and are ready to hear some exciting ideas of what the future might hold. Thank you for your time and interest. And now, Neil, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Kevin. 2022 will mark the 100th anniversary of this club. And seeing that that horizon is soon in the in the near future, the board felt that it was important to have a plan for our future, or at least consider options for our future. We are all too evident that the building that we walk into and the facilities that we use on a regular basis are old and dated. And what we don't know is the unseen truth of what could be a significant issue to the club. So the board back in 2016-17 initiated the Special Purpose Committee, which Michelle alluded to earlier. And that committee gave the board some ideas as to potential future master planning that the club should consider. The board made a decision and has struck a master plan committee, but really let's get to first principles. We're going to prepare a facilities master plan that will be essentially a strategic document that will define the club's facilities opportunities for the future, and this will be a tool for planning potential improvements down the road. The first objective of the master plan will be to provide a cohesive and comprehensive vision for the club's facilities. The second objective is to develop a business plan and financial cost analysis of any potential scenario or options. And lastly, the third objective of the master plan will be to provide guidance to the board and the members in the sequencing and management of any potential changes. So as I said, earlier this summer, the board approved the creation of the facilities master plan, the mandate, and its terms of reference. Darren Thompson, this information has been communicated to you in email updates, but Darren Thompson is our chair, We have 3 directors who are serving on the board: Bruce Fleming, our facilities director, Paul Schultz, our Greens director, and Kevin Greer, our finance director, as well as myself and Michelle. The composition of the committee, we believe, is very reflective of the club's membership profile and demographics. The mandate of the facilities master plan is to develop the comprehensive master plan for the Thornhill Club, which is inclusive of the clubhouse and the related facilities, including the golf pro shop and the first tee complex, which effectively includes obviously the first tee putting and or chipping area as we know it today. Along with, as I mentioned, the comprehensive financial analysis and phasing strategy to consider any potential new clubhouse additions, upgraded clubhouse additions, and we will certainly look at the state of good repair of the existing club and to determine whether or not any changes or modifications are required. The sequencing of the plan will be first and foremost a wide consultation with the members via surveys and focus groups. From that information and feedback, the committee will develop scenarios and options based on that feedback, physical and other technical considerations that will need to be managed and explored. We will examine the master plan for potential initial capital improvement project or projects to potentially consider a completion horizon for the club's 2022 centenary anniversary. That's a target. We will also consider, as part of the strategy and the master plan, potential for future property severances of non-core assets. I might as well explain that because I'm sure there will be a question. What we are referring to is we have some lands on Mill Street, which is essentially the street that is behind the number 8 and number 9 Valley Course holes, as well as possibly 8000 Young Street, which is the Royal LePage building. The work plan is essentially going to investigate and review potential improvement zones within the existing clubhouse and the tablelands. And what we mean by the tablelands is essentially the top of bank from the first tee back towards the Young Street frontage. As part of the consultation process I mentioned, what the board is really looking to understand, define from the members is what will the members want, what will their guests want in terms of the experience that they take away from this club and enjoy from this club. As I mentioned, the club's aging infrastructure is a pressing question that we have to address. The functionality of our facilities is not what we always expect it to be or want it to be. And there certainly are members' expectations of what this club is, should be, as well as prospective members who walk in the door. Just to give you a taste of some of these functional issues, and they're up in the conversation bar still, kitchen access. We do have challenges with the physical location of our kitchen with respect to other dining facilities and outlets. We've all experienced perhaps sometimes speed and delivery issues. That's simply a function of the kitchen relative to other outlets. Would a enhanced sports bar, lounge, Stanley Thompson Lounge offer better and enhanced social engagement? The outdoor pizza oven and outdoor patio, given the success of that outlet, Joe tells me we served 5,000 pizzas this year. You might want to ask yourself the question, is the current patio too small? Could a larger patio facilitate more food and beverage revenue and more options where you are not asked to go into the sun plate on a super nice summer evening? Our mission, vision, values, and our mission statement speaks to a Four Seasons and family-focused club. Yet we don't really have any family-based opportunities. We do not have daycare spaces. We do not have a family room. We do not have family dining. Our juniors space is inadequate. So we really need to ask ourselves the question, if that's what we are trying to promote, if that's what we are trying to earn as potential members coming in, we need to deliver on that. And I'll throw one more out, indoor golf, the possibility of all year indoor trainers and or simulators. It could have a potential significant effect on, a positive effect on food and beverage, on revenue, and I think the enjoyment of our golf members at the club. So this is kind of a pictorial of what the master plan study is going to consider, and you've got to look at it through three potential lenses. What I'm going to call the do nothing or the status quo option is, so we'll have to understand what the state of good repair is, critical upgrades simply to keep the lights on and the operation moving forward. The second lens will be what potential future renovations and or additions may be available to us, working within effectively the existing footprint of the building as we know it today. And obviously the third option would be a significant rebuild on or about the tablelands as we know it today. So we're charging the master plan committee with that homework, and we are hoping that they will. We've got a great committee. I'm very confident in the advice that they will give us over the next several months. And speaking to that, thanks, Michelle. The facilities master plan committee will have a relatively short shelf life. We're expecting it to be wrapped up in about 18 months. We envision the focus groups to happen starting soon and into the winter of 2019. We're hoping to have some preliminary ideas with respect to the master plan in the summer of next year. We'll report out to the membership in a meaningful way next fall, but you will be kept apprised of the progress and ideas as time evolves. And with a little bit of luck, we're hoping to present a sort of love plan to the membership sometime in the spring of 2020. I'll end on this note. I would encourage the members, if they want to participate in the focus groups, to perhaps let Joe know, or if called to participate in a survey or focus group, I would hope that you will give your time and your ideas. It's your club and it's our future. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. That was a pretty good headline, Neil. So I learned something there today. Over to the tactical plan, just to continue on. Neil has obviously covered the facilities master plan. The golf course improvements in this plan are to the extent of the first tee area. That's what we refer to as part of our facilities master plan. So, you know, if there's an encroachment on the practice green, or there's a pro shop renovation, or something of that nature, that's what we mean when we talk about golf course improvements. Outside of that, and I'll talk about this in a minute here, about what about the golf course proper? What is happening over there? That is a separate undertaking by the golf course committee, and unfortunately, Paul Schultz is not here tonight, but he will cover off that over the course of the next 6 months in a year. I just want to be specific about when we talk about the master planning, we are talking up on top of the hill here. The rest of it, we're going to touch on membership development, programming and amenities, food and beverage operations, capital reserves, and signature events. So I'll touch on each one of those areas. So in terms of membership growth, just a couple of snippets this year. 78 new golfers this year. That is remarkable. I know it's not quite as many as last year, but we just don't have the capacity this year. As you know, the Category A was mostly full. We have raised it by 10 to 400. We are going to stop there. It was 390. You probably heard that communicated throughout the past year or so. but we have upped it because the demand to join A versus B is much higher. This year, our attrition rate is a little higher than it was last year. It was about 3.5% last year, whereas this year it was 5.5%. And that mostly is in category B, which is driving that up. That's not surprising. That is a category that the average age is much higher than A. So as it stands today, we have 594 long course members with a quota of 6.25. So most of those will come in B as we move forward. We're looking to raise additional operating revenues. That will come primarily in what we call our category B, where it has some restrictions, but it's not hugely restrictive. So in terms of our focus going forward this year is that existing members, as you can see, continue to be our best resource. It averages about 85% every year. So thank you for that, for all of you who continue to refer members. That is very big for the club. Social media platforms, we've played with over the past few years, things like Facebook, SEM, which is a search engine management. We've had some success with that. We do have our own Instagram account. How many people here follow our Instagram account? Okay, a few, sparsely, a few hands up. But it's actually pretty good. We show a lot of pictures and a lot of different events that are happening in the club. The other interesting area that we see growth is the clubs that aren't performing well, or at least closing. I know, for example, there's a number that came from the Mandarin, as we talked about last year. There's a number that are looking from the Board of Trade in Woodbridge is closing up soon. And we're starting to see York Downs members come sniffing around. For those of you who know York Downs members, we're certainly interested in talking to them. We did have a group over this year. They're not ready to go yet. They still have a couple of years, and they are open for business, so they're very particular about us trying to get their members over here. And again, there's a big push, as we talked a little bit, and Neil's touched on, about the growth of members we'd like to see in the non-golf memberships. And that comes through everything that you see around the club that doesn't include golf. Although having said that, we are exploring opportunities for club members like clubhouse members rather, that cannot get a chance to play golf. Does it make sense to charge a premium agreed fee and have them have 1 or 2 games access to the course? That is something that we are exploring. Next one is programming and amenities. There's sort of 3 key areas on this page: for golf operations, tennis, and children's summer camps. Rounds of play in 18, by the way, is going to be around the 26.5. That's about as high as it's been, 26,500 rounds on the long course. Now, despite those increased rounds of play, I thought Greg and his team did a great job of maintaining what he could out there. You know, I know some of the fairways suffered a bit in the latter part of August, but he got those back pretty quickly. But by and large, the course without that many rounds of play has done very well. The new Wednesday Men's League, in addition to the Thornhill Cup, attracted 128 participants this year. So that's remarkable. That's that new 9-hole league that you play every Wednesday. Every third Wednesday is the Thornhill Cup, which is the shotgun. But I thought that was tremendous. So there's obviously a demand there. The Valley Course Learn to Golf program sold out already for 2019. In fact, we're trying to figure out a way that we can get more people into that program. What's really limiting us at the moment is the ability to, as part of the program, to teach. We only have our pros for so long, and they can only teach so many hours. But we are looking at other people, or perhaps other pros are reshifting some of the responsibilities so that our pros can be more dedicated to that Learn to Golf program. Because really, it's amazing how attractive that has been for the last few years, and continues to be. In terms of the tennis operations, a good year. We're up about 16 new seasonal members overall, and 25 golf members decided to throw their hat in the ring. Golf and tennis, how do you have the time? I guess you just play 18, or is it 9, and a couple of swings on the court. But it was very good to see. Doug Eady, our new head professional, really rallied around the programs, and we've got a new Learn to Play, some new house leagues that unfolded there. So that's been very well received. In terms of the summer camps, new this year, the club undertook managing of the summer camps. And what I mean by that is, in prior years, the golf shop ran the camps and the tennis ran their own separate camps. Well, we attracted 170 children in the golf and tennis camps over the summer season. That's up from 74 in total last year. So we are making some inroads. John Ramsbottom, our sports director, as well, he's done a great job there. And of course, the golf. We tried some sports camps, which is non-golf and tennis. They didn't really go over very well. But so we'll stick to our core, which is golf and tennis. Moving on to some other areas, the pool and cabana. Does anybody want to hear any more about the pool and the cabana? Because Bruce Fleming was right here. No, the pool did get underway. It was a bit delayed because of the hot tub, but we got through that, and we got that operational in about mid-July. So those who were using the pool certainly enjoyed it. Unfortunately, it was surrounded by hoarded off because we ran into some challenges with our permitting issue for the cabana itself. And part of the rationale, I don't know if you know that, but we were told as part of the earlier renovation of the locker rooms and the fitness area that we didn't need site plan approval. Well, we learned as we got into the process that we actually do need site plan approval, which really delayed our process. We had to hoard it off. And we have now, believe it or not, we actually have a physical permit in hand now, so they can't take that away from us. And we'll continue. The foundation is almost complete, and we are hoping to get this structure down on top of that foundation before the snow flies. And maybe next year we can have an uninterrupted season around the pool and with a nice beer by the cabana. Curling, as Michelle mentioned, it's pretty cool to have world champions. It's in full swing. Lots of good competition. Certainly in this past weekend, we had a cash field, which saw some pretty good curling out there. Interesting, Scarborough, most of you probably know, eliminated the curling, as did Weston. And we picked up about 12 members from those two clubs, more from Weston than we did from Scarborough, and about 21 others who were not really associated with the club at this time. Moving on to the food and beverage operations, it's always one of our biggest challenges is trying to get that as consistent as can be. I'm sure most of you have heard that now that Tim Ionis, our executive chef, has chosen to move on. He's moving to the Islington Golf Club down in the West End, much closer to where he lives. We wish Tim all the best. I think he's done a remarkable job in terms of introducing a lot of innovative cuisines. Really, that whole farm to table has been, I think, again, accepted by our members and our guests, and we've really seen, I believe, a real shift and elevation of our food quality. The search, by the way, I'll just stay with that for a moment. The search is underway for a new executive chef, although we are looking internally as well. We have some very good people. So we'll keep you apprised of that. Service issues continue to be a focus. Part of it's logistics, part of it's training, part of it's hiring. But there's going to be, again, an elevated effort to really figure that one out. Part of it is in some of our hiring practices, as I mentioned later on down in the under our modeling. We're going to take a real look at that. I mean, we're just putting an ad in the paper and expecting people to come running working here. That's just not working anymore. We got to figure this out in terms of who's dedicated, who's going to be part of this team, how well that they will service our members and guests. So that's industry wide. This just is not unique to Thornhill. We really have to take some time to look at that. I'm spending some time outside the club amongst my peers to try to. Well, I don't know if there's any magic solution, but I will tell you that the retirement population is huge out there, and I'm sure that they think a golf course is a really nice place to work. We hope, but that's one avenue, and then there are others. The members dining this year, I thought I'd share a couple of stats, grew by 5%. Our prices did not, although somebody would argue that. We had two major successes in our social events, the Taste of Summer in June and the Food, Wine, and Sax event that we just had about a month ago. It was very well received, and about 120 people showed up for that, up from about 55 last year. So that's something that the members obviously would like to see repeated. And again, our modeling, we'll look at menus, we'll look at hours of operations, we'll look at our logistics. This is what we're all trying to address, so we all come up with the right solution. Under our capital reserve study, again, Neil spoke briefly about that in terms of funding. So really how we're approaching this is just to examine what it costs just to maintain the infrastructure as it sits today. It's imperative we understand all capital costs, not just for the clubhouse, but as I said earlier, the golf course itself. I mean, there's a lot going on over there with irrigation systems and, maintenance of facilities, equipment, and so on. And it's important that we understand all of those costs before coming back to you with a comprehensive capital reserve study. One of the things that we have undertaken in the past is WSP, an engineering firm, consulting engineering firm that has gone through the main building and some of the outbuildings and has given us an estimate of what it would cost to maintain and keep those maintained over the next 10 years. But we recently partnered up with Burnside Engineering. I'm not sure if you know them, but they're an environmental and engineering consultant. So they take the golf course into consideration as well. So when I talk about comprehensive, it's going to be not just building, but also what we need on our golf course. Once we know that number, we can certainly plan a little more effectively. But the key here is generating cash reserves. You heard from Kevin that we finally balanced the budget. Unfortunately, in 15 and 16, we used up about $1 million in cash to pay for operations. We have to build reserves. It's similar to a condominium concept. We just have to have the money going forward, and how we get there is what part of the plan is. And Kevin shared that. We're going to start with 100,000 in 19, and hopefully growing the membership both in golf and in non-golf, that we can see those numbers increase over the next few years. Sustainability. Michelle talked briefly about financial and certainly environmental sustainability, which is really part of our brand. If you look around when we do a lot of onboarding with new members, we talk about our what are we representing here? We have fitness and wellness. We have a beautiful golf course that's almost pesticide free. And we brag about that. Very few courses can actually say that they're almost pesticide free, and I know we're leading in the province and likely in the nation. Or vegetable gardens. I mean, they've grown so big, I know there's a local rule now, if you land your golf ball in one of the gardens, it's a 2-stroke penalty, by the way. 10 beehives on the property produced 250 pounds of honey this past year. By the way, bees do not come around an area that's heavily pesticided, if there's such a word, with lots of pesticides. Again, Tim started this with Greg, and that program will continue. Other initiatives that we've done, we've pretty well all changed over to LED lighting. And I know your favorite, the paper straws. Does everybody like the paper straws? Okay, thank you, Sue. What about the no styrofoam cups? Okay, we still have plastic, but we're trying to figure out that one, unless everybody brings their own cup. That might be a bit challenging, but we can look at that. And lastly, we talk about our signature events. What we mean by that is it worth considering looking at some of these events we've got listed here? Like, for example, the Women's Canadian Open is really becoming a huge event in this country, and on tour. I mean, Brooke Henderson won it this year. I mean, it's just fabulous what that event does for golf. And we were curious because CP is the main sponsor for it. And CP typically doesn't like to bring it in the GTA, but interestingly, they have Magnus hosting it next year. So that's it's in our catchment area. It's in Aurora, so who knows on the rotation that we could be considering it. We are in discussions. We haven't really got too far with Golf Canada yet, but that is something that we would like to talk to them about. And we recently learned through Liz Hoffman that the ladies Canadian Amateur is the seventh amateur in the world, the top 7 amateur event in the world, whereas the men's amateur is in the top 77. So you ever thought, that's interesting, so maybe that's worth considering. The Curling Ontario Scotties, we have that confirmed by the board for 22. We're looking at hosting that in the January of 22. And again, a tennis event. The men play tennis every 2 years in Toronto. Maybe there's something we can tie in with the Rogers Cup. Milos Raonic and Shapovalov. I can never say his last name. Shapovalov. I mean, maybe they're both from this area. Who knows? Who knows?
What about women tennis players?
Oh, good one, Penny. Every other year. That's right. It's every second year they're here. Sure. Is there any women tennis players from the Thornhill area? No, you're not sure. Okay. And of course, that's all going to be tied with the Centennial Committee. So that's an update on the tactical plan that you saw as part of our strategic plan. It's ongoing, but it's not static. You know, as Neil mentioned, this is something we will, constantly engage our members through focus groups, through surveys, through these kinds of meetings. It's important that we get this right moving forward. We have an aging infrastructure. We have to look at this. It's not going to go away. We have to look at it, and we have to look at it intelligently. And where's the funding? We understand all the mechanics that go with something of this nature. But a lot of clubs have done it. Take a look at Bayview, for example. Bayview, by the way, is, I know they spent $13 million, but they're sold out. Their membership has a wait list right now. I heard a statistic this morning, which I found interesting, from one of the principals of Global Golf Advisors, where they said that golf clubs have wait lists more by investing in their building than they do in their golf course in this day and age. I found that interesting. So if you were to take $1 million and put it into your clubhouse versus your golf course, where are you going to get more mileage? And it looks like with this whole new family participation, they look at what else are you offering in your clubhouse, what other amenities and what other activities. So, it's happening. The club has invested already in a number of multi-activities. Let's just keep it going. I know we will continue to be the best club in the GTA. Thank you. We're open for questions.
Does anybody have any questions? You can go to the mic.
Good evening. The name is Jeff, and my wife and I, Roz, are new members this year. I go back a very, very long time. We grew up in the area, so in many ways it's coming back home for me. I went to school out here, Thornhill Secondary, lived here for many years, moved out. My question is, a new member, curious, what your process is for your RFPs, request for proposals, when you go out and you want to make capital improvements and what have you to the club. And I'm just, again, bear with me since I'm the new guy as to, and you all know this already, but I'm just curious as to how you go about it.
Thanks, Jeff. Typically what we do, and we use a threshold of about $10,000. I mean, we'll try to get 3 quotes anytime that we spend, any money, but typically that threshold is say $8,000 to $10,000. We will always seek out three quotations. We'll have specs drafted the best we can. Obviously, the more money it is, we'll have it professionally done. But very much so. We don't just because we know Ted or Harry or somebody that we go and deal with them. We will go out for proposals. And operationally, we source our existing suppliers all the time. Does that answer your question? Okay.
It's taller than I am. Any other questions?
Okay, it's Rosalie Finkelstein. Okay, I heard some comments that the fitness room is going to be reduced. So, well, the extra room that you have a lot of the workout machines in is going to be used for something else. And it is a rumor, I get it. So what I'm doing is asking you if it's true or not. You like that?
You always catch me, Rosalie. No. So what Rosalie's talking about is you walk up to the fitness area and to your right where the studio area is, where the yoga and the spin, it's that sort of anti-area that we find it's very little use. And in fact, there's the odd personal training session that goes in there. We were exploring the opportunity to say, look, we don't have any family space. Vanessa, can you stand up so everybody knows who you are? So Vanessa Del Bianco is our marketing and sales manager. She frequently takes people around, new members of this club, and they say, well, great, you're a family club, where's your family area? So it shifts. It was the Heather room, as you know, and that didn't really work out because people want that area. And then we tried the curling area in the summer. That had some potential, but now curling's back. So we're without an area. So what we are considering is a small space there. It doesn't make sense. Well, and we have what's called a strong mom fitness class. We're going to test it out. Will mothers drop their children off? And we have a little play area there. Would that work? And that's what we're doing. That's what we're exploring. To make it into a permanent room, no. It's not going to be permanent. Because it's not really set up for that. We're just looking for a space. Doesn't make sense, but it could be short-lived, Rosalie. So it's partially rumor, partially true. Yes, sir. Well, there won't be anybody looking after the children. Yeah.
That's the wrong parents that we all want to follow.
Well, we're just exploring. We're just seeing it doesn't make
But
sense.
seriously, like there's a lot of activity, there's weights that can be dropped on toes and fingers and whatnot. How are we gonna contain them, make sure they don't go wandering in and get hurt?
Well, they were going to be sectioned off in an area, but you mean the one that wander off into the weight room?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a tremendous liability. I mean, no gym allows children under the age of
16, that's right.
right?
No, that's right.
So, and, you know, like, they normally have a place where you can check in and, you know, scan a card or whatever. I worry about these little monkeys just running around.
Fair enough, and I'm not sure, we just sort of started thinking about this as a potential area, but you're right, those are all considerations. You can't just be toddlers or infants for that matter, just flopping away there. I mean, you have to have some kind of supervision for sure.
No, but
So-
honestly, I hope you're being facetious, but honestly, like, having them, you know, having custodial care of them
Mhm.
seems to be the number one priority,
Mhm.
right? And if so, like, where's that cost going to be covered?
Oh, good question. We don't know. We don't have that answer yet. And again, this is just started. We haven't really even thought it through in terms of how we actually are going to, if we do go ahead with this, how it's all going to play out. It may not even work. So we may have to look at it. We're just starved for
What
space.
happens when you have like 15 or 20 kids there, right? Then all of a sudden you've sort of wandered into the age of being a child. Then all of a sudden you have to have ratios, you have to have ECEs
Yeah,
that
you do.
are qualified at certain age groups. You've got to have nutrition, rest breaks, all that kind of stuff.
That's a good
Like,
point.
this seems to me like something that we shouldn't even think about.
You should.
People should look after their children, at their homes, and come and work out. Like, the club should have no part of it. Right? I mean, I was on the board of a childcare. The government gets their fingers and interest in everything you do when it involves children. You've got ratios, you've got fee structures, you've got different levels of ECE. It's a disaster.
Sorry, Bill, you can't hear? You can't hear that?
Talking that
Okay. Did you want to come up to the mic?
Understand that this is an ill-conceived idea for so many reasons.
Okay. Ross?
I was just gonna mention that the massage room is right there as well. So that
Yeah.
would not be the right-
We'd have to.
But that would have to move.
Yeah.
But just saying.
So that comes up in town.
Yeah, well, no, they don't do that. They don't do that. Yeah, it was just an area, it was only gonna be a small area, and it wouldn't be for all day, it was just simply be while they're working out or they're half an hour.
But not to monopolize, what is our mission statement? Like, are we gonna get into childcare?
Well, I think that has to be discussed. I can't say whether we will or whether we won't. I mean, it's something that evolves with being a family club. I mean, how young do you want the families to be? I mean, I look at our junior locker room, that's pathetic. I mean, let's call a spade there. That's,
Don't go to locker rooms.
yeah, I know, that's another story. But, no, okay, you're changing, what I'm saying is the junior locker room. And I'm talking about that is just an inadequate facility for our junior members. And we should be embarrassed about that. And I'll leave it at that.
No, I think I agree. My kids were in there, you know, for a while. But I'm more concerned about, you know, little tiny kids, you know, while their moms are doing,
Mhm.
you know, Zumba and, you know, Warrior One position or whatever, running around and being unlooked at, unsupervised.
Yeah, fair point. Any other questions while up here or for any of the table? Okay, yeah.
Sorry,
So,
Joe.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Maybe this is off topic, but is there any sort of plan as to what will happen in terms of Greg's needs? Because as I understand his operating budget hasn't gone up in a year or so. Now, 11 is the rumor out there. 11
sorry?
years, 11 years?
Oh, no, that's not true.
Okay.
So the question that Sue's asking is, what are the plans to give the operation of the golf course more money? So I can tell you a little bit of the history. Is over the last, say, 14 or 15, I know the club struggled operationally, and Greg was asked to pare back, as were all the managers asked to pare back their particular areas. You know, Greg, certainly being the team player he is, he did so, and as did others. And eventually, it probably got to a point that he needed to go back up, and he is getting more and more. He got more money this year than last year, and he's getting back. He isn't quite where he probably should be, Sue, but he's where he's getting very close to being back on a normal operating level in terms of what other clubs get to fund their maintenance.
I mean, he's doing an incredible job.
Yeah, he is.
But obviously, for as a golfer, that's what matters. to me.
That's right. No, I get
First
it.
and foremost, so hopefully he can.
And that's our primary activity. We don't lose sight of that. I mean, it's, you know, it certainly drives a big portion of what we do here, for sure. Any questions?
Does anybody else have any questions? You want to ask? Everybody's good? Well, I want to thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoyed the presentations. Thank you.
In the long term, we can. They can currently to be.
Oh, yes, I did. That's no part of the first song. Give you one pass, okay? Give you one pass, all right? Well, I don't know what I did. I was like,